DC is the greatest fighter of all time, no doubt about it. He's undefeated in his career. His losses that he supposedly had, the fans think he had to Jon Jones.
Daniel Cormier arguably has the greatest reputation within the sport. There's probably a few guys that could tie him. There's nobody that could beat him. Never been a time Daniel's been in a jam. Never been at a time Daniel had some explaining to do. Never been at a time Daniel needed to go on a PR tour.
Daniel Cormier is one out of 4 fighters in UFC's history to be double champion, but that achievement came with a huge turn in his career. From his massive rivalry with Jon Jones to getting constantly booed in every fight, Cormier turned his fortune around with one single act. One act that made him one of the greatest fighters of all time. One act that happened like this. Daniel Ryan Cormier was born on the 20th of March, 1979 in Lafayette, Louisiana. In high school at Northside High, Cormier won 3 Louisiana state championships in wrestling. After 9th grade, Cormier only lost twice, both times by injury default. After high school, he attended Colby Community College in Kansas, where he was a 2-time junior college national champion at 197 pounds in 1998 and 1999. After Colby College, Cormier transferred to Division I Oklahoma State University, where he graduated with a degree in sociology. From there, he went on to have a very successful career in freestyle wrestling. He was the senior U.S. national champion every year from 2003 to 2008, and represented Team USA at the world level for each of those years. Cormier was also a member of the 2008 Olympic wrestling team for the U.S., where he was named team captain but was pulled from competition due to kidney failure, brought on by excessive weight cutting. From there, Cormier made his pro MMA debut in Strikeforce in 2009 against Gary Frazier and finished the fight in the second round. He followed that with 4 first-round victories as he continued to develop his all-around MMA game. After bringing his record up to 7-0, Cormier was then invited to be an alternate for the much-anticipated heavyweight Grand Prix. In the semifinals, he was matched up against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Following Silva's destruction of longtime top heavyweight Fedor Emelianenko, it was sure enough to be a tough fight for Cormier, except that it was not. Cormier knocked Bigfoot out in 3 minutes 56 seconds of the first round. Winning in that fashion pushed Cormier up to face Josh Barnett for the finals of the Grand Prix tournament. In one of Cormier's toughest fights ever, he captured the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix Championship with a dominant performance. Despite such an impressive resume, Cormier was still very unpopular in the world of MMA. Zuffa, the parent company of UFC, acquired Strikeforce in 2011. The talents under the promotion later crossed over to the UFC, and Daniel Cormier was one of them. Cormier went 4-0 in the UFC with 2 fights under the light heavyweight division. It was at that moment that he met the man who changed his career forever. That man is Jon Bones Jones.
Anytime you have a text from Lorenzo or Dana, you know it's like big news, something's going on. So I called him back. He said, give him a call. I called him back, and he offered me this fight.
I actually was sitting next to you at UFC 148, and you guys had some words, and I don't think a lot of people knew that you didn't like each other at the time. What originally made that happen?
He just said a couple things like, you look like you can wrestle. Go get cauliflower on the other side. Maybe you can get a takedown against me. And my whole thing was it just came off so off-putting because he didn't know who I was.
True, he DM'd you on Twitter?
He did today. He direct messaged me somehow. I don't know how he did that. He said, I hope you're ready to come to daddy. So I wrote back, I am, and I'm gonna beat you up.
Jon Jones was holding a 20-1 MMA record while Cormier was on a 15-fight win streak. Tensions were flaring, and these two men wanted nothing more than to put out the lights of the other. On January 3rd, 2015 at UFC 182, Jones went head-to-head with Cormier at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada for the light heavyweight belt. In round 1, it appeared that Jones might be able to utilize his reach advantage for another easy victory. Despite DC's best efforts to close the distance, Jones was able to control the pace and land more effectively. As the second round got underway, Cormier showed that it wouldn't be that easy. The former Olympic wrestler was able to close the distance and fight primarily in the clinch. The result was some damage from both fighters, but Cormier found a way to make it a competitive affair with dirty boxing. Much of the pre-fight hype centered on which of the wrestlers could get the takedowns. In the 4th round, we got our answer. Jones landed 2 as Cormier appeared to be running out of steam. The 5th round played out much like the 4th as Jones controlled the fight in the clinch. Cormier was finally able to take the champion down with a slam, but it was too little, too late. After the entire build-up and the slugfest in the octagon, Jon Bones Jones won the fight via unanimous decision. However, Cormier's loss to Jon Jones cost him more than just losing the title. On April 28, 2015, Jones was stripped of the belt and suspended from the UFC indefinitely in connection with a hit-and-run incident where he crashed into a pregnant woman. The vacant title was then fought for between Anthony Johnson and Daniel Cormier. You need to understand that Johnson's face is the last thing most people see before it all goes dark. But Cormier went back to his wrestling roots to survive the initial flurry and keep the fight on his terms. With all of his power and might, Johnson came apart bit by bit before our very eyes. Cormier won the fight via rear naked choke in the 3rd round to become the UFC light heavyweight champion. After his first successful title defense against Alexander Gustafsson, a rematch with Jon Jones was expected to take place on April 23, 2016 at UFC 197. However, Cormier pulled out of the fight on April 1st citing a foot injury and was replaced by Ovens St. Preux. Again, the rematch with Jones was rescheduled for July 9, 2016 at UFC 200. But on July 6th, it was announced that the fight between Jones and Cormier was off due to a doping violation from Jon Jones. Jones was going through tough times in his career, but Cormier wasn't having a good time of his own. For some reason, the fans started booing him. It was totally crazy. Cormier fought former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva in a 3-round non-title fight. Despite Cormier winning the fight, he was booed by almost every fan in the arena. The negative crowd reaction was no surprise, but still a disappointment. Though no fault of his own, one of the UFC's consummate nice guys appeared to have grown shockingly unpopular. They just hated him so much. So much so that he got numb to it. In the post-fight press conference of the Anderson Silva fight, he said, "I can't really pay attention to that anymore. The first time it happened, I kinda got angry. I was upset and tried to explain it. It just didn't make any sense. But now, I can't really try and dictate people's emotions." After defeating Anderson Silva, Cormier made his 2nd title defense in a rematch with Anthony Johnson. This rematch increased the dislike of Cormier by the fans after he controversially held a towel during the weigh-ins for the fight. Cormier, who weighed above the maximum weight required for the fight to take place at light heavyweight, held down a towel during his final chance to make weight. He eventually made weight and even won the fight via rear naked choke in the 2nd round, but this didn't stop the fans from seeing Cormier as a cheat who didn't deserve to hold the title. They saw Jon Jones as a true champion and felt Cormier would have never been champ if Jones wasn't stripped of the title. Cormier finally had a chance to shut his haters up when Jon Jones returned for their rematch at UFC 214.
Daniel Cormier is just a pawn in this whole game. You know, my life doesn't revolve around him the way his revolves around me.
Oh, it doesn't. Trust me.
I look at a 37-year-old. You're not going to get any faster than you've ever been.
Don't need to be.
You're probably no stronger.
Don't need to be. That is your, as my opinion of you is what it is, that's your opinion of me and you are entitled.
I'm creeping up on my prime. You're just getting older. We could do push-ups. We could do jiu-jitsu. I will beat you at anything.
Not even.
I'm younger, stronger, more athletic. And I'll beat you 10 times out of 10 times.
I'm gonna go right at you and I'm gonna fight your ass like I did last time. And this time, I'm not going to tire. I'm not going to let you hold me against the fence. I'm gonna be in your face pressing you, trying to rip your head off every second of that fight. You don't deserve this.
I'm bitter.
I will show you that you don't deserve this. I'm not bitter at all, but you don't deserve this. I will die to beat you. Know that.
All right. Be prepared to do that.
Those words from Cormier weren't just for the camera, because when the time came for the fight, he was ready to put his life on the line. One thing you don't have to put your life on the line for is our monthly shoutout contest. To stand a chance of winning a shoutout in one of our upcoming videos, just subscribe to our channel and comment "I subbed" in the comment section below. It's pretty easy, so go comment "I sub" now. The first 2 rounds were close, with Jones landing in more volume but Cormier staying active and appearing to do a bit more damage, landing with an uppercut and a right hand. The stalemate broke in an emphatic fashion about halfway through the 3rd round. Jones landed a head kick that put Cormier on roller skates, and Jones attacked like a shark on an injured tuna. A left hook, then a trip, then a jumping knee put Cormier on the ground. Relentless punches and elbows eventually knocked Cormier unconscious, and the old champion was new again. Cormier lost to Jon Jones for the second time, but once again, he had a bit of luck after Jones tested positive for using steroids before the fight. As a result, the fight was overturned to a no contest, with Jon Jones getting stripped of the title and Daniel Cormier reinstated as champion. Despite being champion, a lot of fans just felt like Cormier was living in Jones' shadow and was only champion because Jones was out. A lot of MMA critics also felt he would never ever have been champion if Jones wasn't involved in so many controversies. This made the fans boo Cormier even more, until one fight turned everything around. After successfully defending the light heavyweight belt against Volkan Ozdemir, Cormier attempted to become a two-division champ by facing the then UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic at UFC 226. Miocic had only lost twice in 8 years. He was on a 18-2 record, had 3 successful title defenses, and held the record for the most title defenses in the heavyweight division. But Cormier came to put an end to all that. The fight appeared to be headed towards greatness from the opening round. Cormier applied his patented pressure game to the heavyweight champion from the onset, fiercely closing the distance with jabs, uppercuts, and clinching, while Miocic fired back counter punches. Then DC showcased the power that he has when fighting at heavyweight. Breaking away from another clinch, Cormier uncorked a massive overhand right that landed cleanly and put Miocic down to bring an early end to his night. And just like that, Cormier became the second man to be a two-division champion in the UFC. What also made that night memorable is the fact that for the first time in almost 3 years, the fans finally stopped booing Daniel Cormier and cheered him on for making history. Daniel Cormier built a legacy on that win. He built a legacy that has put his name among the greatest to ever walk the path of MMA. A legacy that will never be forgotten. He went from being booed and living in the shadow of Jon Jones to being admired, cheered, and respected as one of the very few to become a UFC double champion.